Entrepreneur Sessions, the podcast.
All right, welcome to another episode of Entrepreneur Sessions, the podcast. I'm your host, Jennifer. Here's my co-host, Mario. And we got a special guest in the building today. She is the founder of what has become one of the #1 resources in the Dallas-Fort Worth area for young professionals. It's a community that helps to keep everybody connected, to keep them informed, and while doing it Black. So without further ado, we want to go ahead and introduce Taylor Moody. Hey. All right, Taylor. Hey, Taylor, thank you for joining us tonight. This is going to be a really fun conversation because we're going to be talking about how Taylor has managed to build a brand that resonates with the community. Currently, they have almost 7,000 followers. They have very engaged followers. They're constantly doing events, so we're going to dive into that tonight. But I'm going to let Mario kick it off.
How's it going? So how you doing, Taylor? How's everything on your end?
Good. Other than this unexpected rain, it's wonderful. It's been a great day.
Yes, it's kind of lightning over here, so if my thing goes dark, I'll just be right back on. So, these lights can flicker. So, but cool. So our September theme is preparation for elevation. So this month, we're focusing on the ways that small business owners can prepare themselves to be successful in business in general. And so tell us, the inspiration behind your business, behind the Connect Dallas.
Yeah. So the Connect Dallas started, honestly, just as a way for me to meet more people in Dallas. I'm from the area, but I moved back around 2017 and found this group called Meetup, this app called Meetup. And so I attended all these meetups and stuff like that. And I still was kind of struggling, not only to meet new people, but the people that I was meeting, like everybody was just like, oh my God, it's so hard to meet people in Dallas. Like I can't make any friends, especially Black people. And so I thought, well, why don't I start a meetup for people of color to come together, just to make friends, not for networking, not for, just anything else, but literally just like to build more meaningful connections and relationships. So yeah, that started the Connect. The very first event we had was a game night. And then I think 100 people showed up, which was insane. Yeah, we were expecting like 20 and 100 showed up. And then it just kind of, kept going from there because there was an obvious need. So we just kind of kept going.
That's awesome. I think I remember one of the earlier events. I think I was at an event one time, like maybe a couple of years ago, and I think it was a crossover of, and I kind of ended up mixing with the people who were at your event. So it's funny how
was it probably brunch?
It was like a happy hour type of event.
Yeah.
It was in the evening, and it was like, and I remember, because I don't know, but I want to say, did y'all used to have a chat group or something in the early
years? So we still have one. So a lot of people, that's so funny you said that, because a lot of people thought that the Connect started as a group me. Because one way for me to meet more people in the city is I would go out, and like when I was out, I'd be like, oh my God, you're so cool, like join this group me so we can all like talk to each other, because we can't talk because it's loud and all that. So so we do still have a group me that has some member. It has a bunch of people in there, but we don't use it as often. But we still are in there posting and talking and having conversations. But we definitely started as a group. Yeah.
That's funny. And that was the introduction to your brand, because that was like somebody added me in that group me that I met at that event.
It's wild. Group me. There was a point in time where like that group message would be blowing up. Like it was exhausting. Like I would get off and then check back at lunch, and there were like 100 messages, and I'm just like, it was crazy. I don't know if GroupMe had just started, but like GroupMe was very popular in 2017 and like kind of 2018. So it just crazy.
So I want to go off the track a little bit, and I want to ask, how did you transition with all the momentum that you had on GroupMe how were you able to transition that to, I guess, more manageable, like social media platforms like Instagram? Or did you transition it? Like, what was that process like to stay engaged with that group?
Well, I think as soon as I started the Connect and we got such a big response from people, I kind of recognized that this was something bigger than me just wanting to make friends and meet people. So at the time, I was not really on social media. It was not big on that at all. And my friend, Bryant, who was actually one of the first people to attend one of my events, he told me, he's like, you need an Instagram and a Twitter and all these things. And I was like, okay. So I created them. And then we just would post random stuff, just like when we were out doing events and stuff like that, videos and pictures of people enjoying themselves and all those things. And that's kind of just how we started is, oh, wait, you're in the group me or you're in the meetup. We have an Instagram and we have a Facebook and all that stuff. So that's kind of how that kicked off, I guess.
Yeah. So that's cool. It kind of happened organically. And then later on, it kind of was put to a more formalized organization. That's pretty cool.
That's really
so let's jump into the next question. The Connect Dallas has become what I believe is a huge resource for millennials and Gen Zs in the DFW area. How have you been able to grow this community to be the successful platform that it is?
So I would say the biggest thing is consistency. There are countless of amazing, especially young entrepreneurs and just young professionals in Dallas that have all these great ideas. But what is missing is consistently doing them so people can expect it, right? Because I mean, I don't know, even now, obviously now we're in a special time, but before, you never knew, what the move was or what was going on, especially when it comes to the Black community. So having an organization that is not only exists, but is having consistent programming that you can attend and frequent was something that I think really helped us, especially in the beginning. And then also I would just say authenticity, because like I said, our main goal when we first started was to make more meaningful connections. And when you came to an event and you made a meaningful connection, you came back because you knew what you were coming for and you were getting that. So I think those two things kind of was really what helped us kind of make a name for ourselves in a way. It's just being consistent and authentic.
I love it. Yeah. I would probably say one thing that I really liked too was the fact that it wasn't just club events or like, it was brunches. It was like creative events that were like out the box, not traditional events. And I think that was something that made me remember the organization,
Yeah, so. And we were definitely intentional about that because it's very difficult. I don't know how many people have tried it, but it's very difficult to meet people in the club. Like, I can't hear. I gotta wait 20 minutes just to get a drink. Like, I'm tired, my feet hurt. Like, it's just too much going on for me to be worried about like meeting new friends. Yeah. So we thought, okay, where are there places or what are activities that we like to do, and where can we go and do those together and meet new people? And it wasn't even only like, oh, we're having this event, and if you RSVP to this event, we want you. Like, I would be at brunch and see people sitting at a table and be like, do y'all want to eat with us? Cause like, y'all look cool. Like, you know what I mean? Like literally, like just pulling people all around because everybody's welcome at anything the Connect House is doing. So keeping our environment as welcome and opening as possible and being in spaces like you mentioned, I think is what kind of really, set us apart.
That's awesome. Mario, I'm sorry, were you going to say something?
Oh, no, I forgot what I was about to say, but that sounded good. I like that. Organic friendship, I get very shy. I can't go up to a table and just say, hey, come eat with me. I usually have to be in a group. I am the opposite, and I think that's been my saving grace. Like, I'm so embarrassing. Like, I'll walk up to somebody and be like, oh, hey, so we're friends now, right? Like, that. Like, I am incredibly obnoxious. So that definitely helped me. And in the beginning, and it also is the reason why so many people
I think kind of gravitated to our group because other people started doing the same thing, right? So it wasn't just me necessarily pulling people over and being like, come. That became kind of the vibe. So once that was the vibe, everybody's like, oh wait, like, okay, so everybody can come and do something together, and it just went crazy from there. So that was cool.
Yeah. And that's like the differentiate. I'm sorry, Mario. I got
Go for it.
But I think there's a differentiation factor because often do a random group of people come up to you and say, hey, I see you sitting by yourself, or hey, you guys want to join us? I think that was so different, and I think people are so not used to that experience that you basically have created evangelists to go out and do the exact same thing. So that's really cool. I really like that. Back to you, Mark.
Cool.
Yeah.
And so here's another question. We asked this question last week. And so if you could pick 3 people, dead or alive, to have dinner with, who would they be?
Ooh, okay. So that's so hard because like I want to have dinner with everybody. I think that everybody has like a story to tell, but I do have favorites. So I would say first and foremost, Shirley Chisholm. And I don't know if you guys are familiar with who Shirley Chisholm is, or if not, it's totally fine. But
give us
she's
the breakdown.
Such a pioneer. Yeah, she's such a pioneer. Okay. And I'm so curious to kind of know like just how she survived as a Black woman, way ahead of her time, way just beyond. You know, how did you continue to survive and thrive in an environment where everybody was betting against you? Another person, I mean, obviously Michelle Obama. Like, I want to have all my dinners with Michelle Obama, like just all of them. Just she is just consistently just absolutely inspirational. So I would love to just, honestly, I probably wouldn't even ask her anything serious. I would just be like, listen, can we hang out again? Like, that's the only thing I want. Like,
listen. How's your state?
And I mean, and I guess her husband could come too, but just her, yes. Awesome. And then another person I'd love to have dinner with is Rihanna. And I know that sounds kind of like, why would you want to go have a dinner with Rihanna? I love how just authentic and genuine that she is. Even in her business ventures, in her life, that she always brings this level of authenticity that makes you feel comfortable, you know, and she's cool. Like, she's really cool. So really, really getting to dig deep with her and talk about just like not only her businesses and decisions that she's made that have propelled her. Because I mean, she ain't released no music in like a long time, but she's still so relevant, right? And just, you know, to learn kind of how she went from Pond to Replay to where she is now, right? That change, that trajectory is crazy. So I would love to just have a dinner with her and kind of pick her brain on everything, honestly.
I love that.
So what I found so far for between Michelle Obama and Rihanna, and I think they're both very authentic people. So I can see how that kind of ties in with the brand and the authenticity and everything. It would make sense that those would be people you gravitate.
They just seem fun. Like, they seem like they're nice and they're just fun, you know? Like, don't get me wrong, I love me some Beyonce, but like, I would be so scared to sit at a dinner table with her. Like, they feel warm and that's always been my vibe. And so I have this wall of Black women, and don't get me wrong, all those women are on there, but they stand out when it comes to just sitting at a table. Because when I think about sitting down and eating, like, I want to have fun, I want to be comfortable, food is comcomforting, and I want to have a good conversation, and I think that they'd be great. Yeah.
It's so funny that you said Rihanna too, because I was watching the Versus last night with Monica and Brandy. And how Monica was talking about some of the songs she wanted to do, but the label was telling her she had to be in this, they built this mold that they thought that she needed to be in. And how Rihanna, they tried to do that with her from Pond to Replay, and she's like, that's not who I am.
Right.
And she was always very like trying to be her authentic self, and it worked for her, you know.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah,
and it didn't matter what, because when you think about her, the types of music that she's even put out, from the type of music to her ventures, all that stuff is literally truly has to be based on just what she was interested in at the moment. And to be able to kill it in whatever you put your mind to, like, that's inspiring. So I'm with it.
I love it.
Yeah.
So where do you see the Connect Dallas being in the next 5 years in terms of like growth, strategy, direction?
Right. So that is always such a hard question for me. We do have really, really big, lofty goals. So I hope we're achieving some of those in the next 5 years. And we're always open. Like, that's one thing you mentioned, or, you know, I know we'll talk about pivoting, but being open to opportunities, I think is something that's made us successful, because we don't have to stick to one thing, right? It doesn't have to only be events. It doesn't have to only be, you know, brunch or anything like that. So I would say in the next 5 years, I hope that we are achieving one of our biggest goals, which is creating a brick and mortar space where people are able to connect in their own way on a daily basis. So whatever that means for you, being able to come into Dallas and send people to a space where you know that you're able to connect, right? Like, you're able to find whatever you're looking for in this brick and mortar space. So that would be the goal. The goal is to not only you know, purchase the space and things like that, but to have it up and running for people to be able to utilize in Black Dallas.
Oh,
that's awesome. Now, a strategy like that, would you look into first get into like a co-working location, or you're trying to get your own warehouse, your own spot?
Yeah, we want our own space. So the thought or idea behind it is it for this space to be completely Black owned, operated, and frequented. So it wouldn't necessarily only be co-working, and I'm sure you guys can understand me in saying that even in those spaces we aren't always necessarily welcome and comfortable, right? And we want to create a space that is comfortable from the second you step in the door. So whatever, you know, face mask, whatever you've been putting on for everybody else outside of the space, you don't have to do that here. You can truly just be yourself and come for what you're looking for. So if you are looking for networking opportunities, there's a place for you. If you're looking to just kick it, there's a place for you. There's a place for anybody in Dallas who's looking to connect in a meaningful way.
That's awesome.
Thank you.
I think you're gonna do it.
Yeah. I mean, I definitely believe it. And I definitely believe in speaking things into existence. So I say it all the time to my team. I'm like, we're gonna create this space.
So I mean, that's exciting. That's an exciting prospect to really like create that space. And I'm sure by that time you'll find a lot of community partners. I'm sure your membership would have doubled or tripled or quadrupled by that time. And you know, I think in the stage that you're in right now, it's amazing because like it's research right now with your existing crowd to find out their needs and everything to make sure that building is tailored to their specific needs. So we're excited. That's really nice. I love that. So
and we and again, we're not looking something that we think is so important is collaboration and community. So we don't see the space as even necessarily ours. It is for the community and for people. So any organization, any business, from a Black professional, it's their space too. It's kind of how we see it, because that's how we see the Connect Dallas as a resource for everyone. So we're hoping, you know, we can get that up and running in the next 5 years. And I definitely think it's doable even sooner than that.
Oh, definitely.
Fingers crossed. And when it happens, we'll play this video back and talk.
So, as a business owner, what are some of the struggles that you've encountered?
So struggles as a business owner, honestly, funding. So funding is a big thing. So we do, like I mentioned, a lot of events, and because we primarily serve people of color, young Black professionals, finding funding sometimes could be a struggle. Also, just maintaining, maintaining the need, I guess is the best way to put it. So like you mentioned before, everybody needs something different. And figuring out what people in the community need and what people need the most has definitely been something that has been difficult, not impossible. We've been able to do it, but very, very difficult, just because there's constantly new people coming into the area and coming into Dallas and looking for things. And so that's been a little bit of a struggle. But other than that, like, I really, really love what we do. And it's always really easy to do the things that we do, especially when it comes to our events and stuff, just because I love events and I also love bringing people together. So that's been something that's been really fun.
And I got a spin off of that. So you're addressing the needs of the people within the community, and a lot of people who are going to be watching this, they have different kind of businesses that they're starting, right?
Right.
And so one of the things is to figure out, okay, here's the problem and I have the solution. So what are some tools that you're using to kind of gauge that, like doing the research, doing the surveys? What are some tools that you're using to kind of gather all that information, that intel?
Right. So we interact with any and everybody who interacts with us on a regular basis. And that's not even just initially with, like, you know, surveys and things like that, but follow-up questions, actually getting to know. I can tell you guys, getting to know the people that attend our events and, you know, do the things similar to what we do has been the most instrumental in figuring out the pulse of this community and what people want and what they want to see and what they want to do. Just literally taking the time to sit down and have a conversation. I think a lot of times, especially with social media and all that stuff, we take that for granted. And we don't do that because we don't have time, right? Like, we have so much to do on our to-do list and we're booked and busy, and we don't take the time to sit down and have just conversations with people. Find out about what they do, find out what they like and how they like to do things, and then take that information, because I mean, we're not all, don't get me wrong, we all do different things and stuff like that, but when it comes to making a connection and building relationships, we all want a lot of the same things. So I've been able to hear things over and over and over when I've been having conversations, and it kind of clicks, like, all right. And then of course we have like focus groups and things that we do like that when we're kind of trying to pitch a specific idea. Like, I don't know if you guys noticed on our story today, like, so somebody came up with somebody asked, like, hey, do you guys have a book club? And I was like, well, no. Well, we've had one in the past, you know, it maybe, you know, we don't do it right now. But I wonder if there's an interest, you know, for people to do a book club, like, because I love books, and I'm sure, you know, a lot of other people do. So we posted it on our story. People have been interacting with it. And what we do is, once you interact with a message, we then ask you follow-up questions. So, okay, you're interested in a book club. What kind of book club? Do you want to be in a virtual book club? Do you want to come in person? What's your favorite thing? How do you choose your books? Like, all those kind of different follow-up things are how we kind of determine not only what we're going to do, but how we're going to do it. So
that's cool. That's awesome. Continued research just to make sure that it's going in the right direction.
For sure. And following up after that. So I am a firm believer in follow-up and surveys and stuff like that. So just because you had an experience doesn't mean that there weren't things that we can improve on and be better, right? I'm always about making something better than it already is. Not recreating a wheel, but improving it. So following up with people that attend our events and following up with people that participate in stuff, I think has been really, really helpful for us, because, you know, you had a good experience, but why did you have a good experience? Tapping into your why is really, really what makes, in my opinion, any business successful in anything they're doing.
That's so true. I love that.
So finite details. So really quickly, and I'm just gonna throw this in real quick. COVID everybody has to pivot. Like, we got a lot of brands went from doing live events, live meetings, live everything.
Yeah.
What was your process as far as transitioning since this pandemic began, and what have been the results of those transitions?
Yeah. So yeah, COVID was just crazy, very, very unexpected. But I'm actually very thankful for this time. I know that a lot of bad things have happened. But I was able to take that time to really, really slow down, right? Because when you're planning events every month and you're doing things, you're moving at such a fast pace that it's hard sometimes to sit and go, okay, what's most important, right? So we took that opportunity to really, really, take a breath, right? Because everybody was experiencing a ton of different change. And when you're going through change, trying to do stuff in the middle of it is kind of difficult. But we took a bit of a breather, took a deep breath, and then really started focusing on, okay, we're a resource for young Black professionals. What do we need right now? And what we needed was information. We need to know what's going on. Like, this has never happened before. I don't know if you guys have experienced a pandemic, but I have not. And so what does that even mean? What are we supposed to do? What is the government saying? What are the different regulations that are going on in our city and our state? And sharing that information with other people, because Dallas is mostly transplants. So there's so much information that's being disseminated that we don't even get, right? You don't get it on Facebook and you don't get it on Instagram. So we put it there. So that's something that we focused on early on is, okay, how do we keep everybody informed while we're all dealing with this together collectively? And then moving into how shaping kind of what kind of content and things that we wanted to bring out with our city and stuff like that. So focusing on positive stuff and helping people, right? So we used to do events and things like that, and nobody's doing events right now, but what are some things we could share that people are doing, right? Because the world hasn't stopped. It's just that industry kind of stopped, right? But people are still we're still doing a lot, especially in regards to helping for COVID, right? So, and then of course, as you guys know, all the stuff with Black Lives Matter and stuff just went crazy. So we started getting even more questions from people like, what's going on? Where are protests? Where do we go? What do I do? Who's running this stuff? Because those are important questions. And I'm be honest with you, they're not very easy to find. So being able to find that information for people and be a resource and a one-stop shop for that was kind of one of the initial ways that we kind of pivoted into COVID. Yeah.
And how was that pivot received when, the initial, like, providing your audience with that information, and what was the feedback initially?
Honestly, I was just so blown away by just how many people not only received that information for themselves, but shared it with others, and kind of helped inform everybody about what was going on immediately, right? So it was incredibly eye-opening for me, at least, because originally when I envisioned the Connect, I didn't necessarily see us as being a space where you could go get information about what's happening in your city in that way, right? I was thinking more of like stuff to do, people to hang out with, but important information about your livelihood, your business, resources for people who are unemployed or sick and need testing. I mentioned protests and things like that. People, not only did people love it, like it, share it, etc., but they then started asking us for more. So like, hey, this just happened. What's going on in the city this week? Or, hey, I lost my job. Where can I go to get this? And so we kind of just jumped into literally on a case-by-case basis. Well, not a case-by-case, meaning we didn't accept everybody, but when people would DM us, I would go find that information for them and send it to them. So I am lucky to be from this area and to know, have known people before I got here, to know where to find the different answers to a lot of questions that people had. So we never really advertised it. We never were like, hey, DM us, so like we'll help you and point you to stuff. But I think just through us sharing that information and being a resource in that way, people immediately automatically thought of us that way. So it really went crazy with that, with us supplying that information with people.
I love it.
Yeah.
Mario, you look like you had something you wanted to say.
Well, no. I'm listening. I'm absorbing all this knowledge. How you guys I'm always fascinated to hear from different companies how they were able to adjust, because it's one of those things we didn't get a warning sign. It's like, okay, 1 minute we're out, next minute it's like now we're stuck. So I'm interested to kind of hear how everyone's kind of adjusted to this new, the situation. Yeah. And for some companies, they weren't able to pivot fast enough, so they're kind of like defunct. Some other businesses, they've been able to kind of maneuver and even come up on top. And so I was just fascinated to hear how you guys did it.
Yeah. I mean, I think because we, like everybody else, we had a year calendar planned out, and we were ready to, implement all these great, cool ideas and new events. And it gave us an opportunity. Honestly, I'm thankful for it, because it gave us an opportunity to serve in ways that nobody had really served the young Black Dallas community. And so it kind of created our own lane in a way. Yeah. Because I know, obviously, we do different types of events that are, kind of catered in a different way. But we were able to put ourselves in a position that we hadn't seen anybody doing for us. So that was really, 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 really great. But I agree with you. I saw a lot of change, a lot of change, and still change happening to this day, in our industry as well as in everybody's. So just thankful, definitely thankful for the opportunities that we've gotten since then and since the beginning of COVID.
And I'm gathering from what you guys been doing. A lot of your marketing has been geared online. What are some of the marketing tools that you guys use? Because now we're COVID, and a lot of people are still going to you for advice, for information. Even before COVID, people were finding out about you. And so I know a lot of people want to know, okay, I have an event company that I'm trying to start, or I have a web company or something. What tools do I need to use? Do I need to pay this company thousands of dollars for a specific tool, or can I get free tools? What tools have you guys used to kind of, get the awareness out there about your company?
Right. So it's going to sound so, I guess not necessarily cliche or cheesy, but I truly believe like being persistent and being authentic have been what has really helped us communicate not only our message, but just our organization as a whole. Word of mouth was a really big thing. Like I obviously before COVID, I would go out to events and talk to them about what we do and our mission and why we do it and why I was there. And it wasn't necessarily all networking stuff, right? Like I would be doing it at dinner, and I'd be doing it, just anywhere that I could see. Anytime I saw a Black person that was in the city, I would have a conversation with them and talk about them and what they do, and in that conversation share with them the Connect Dallas and what we do and why it was so important to me. So I think that helped not only obviously inform that person, but it helped them communicate what I was saying to other people, right? Because I was able to focus and hone in on what was important and why I was doing what we were doing. So that was easy. That was a really easy way to get the word out. And outside of obviously, Instagram algorithms and all that stuff, which you could easily Google any of that stuff, right? We really, really, really focused on being as authentic as possible and building a relationship with the people that interacted with us, right? So you like a post, you share something, you whatever, you will hear from us, right? Whether it's a thank you or, hey, what do you think about this idea? Or, whatever it is, creating a relationship with the people that we serve, I think has been the best way for us to get the word out about what we do. Yeah.
I love it.
I love it.
So as far as the Connect Dallas, is it a huge team of people? Are you guys a lean team of really strategic people? What does the team look like?
Yeah. So when I first started the Connect Dallas, it was just me. And I realized that, that was not very feasible, especially with the amount of things that we do and how often we do them. And right now we're a small team. It's just 2 of us right now. But we're small but mighty, I like to say, team of people who are just really passionate about what we do and about bringing people together. And I don't necessarily think that don't get me wrong, like we would love more people if they're interested in really, really connecting with the city and helping other people connect, I think is the biggest deal. Having that passion to help other people plug in where they want to plug in. It's definitely something necessary. But yeah, it's just a small team of 2 right now.
Definitely does not feel like a small team of 2 at all. From execution and everything. And I feel like you guys have a lot of evangelists too that are not officially team members.
Yeah.
Like hardcore Connect Dallas people. They
Absolutely. Yeah, I think a lot of people, so I like to think that most of the people that I've met through the Connect have become true friends of mine. But they are amazing. They are amazing. I've had people all across the city, which is why I think keeping us grounded in community and keeping us grounded in meaningful relationships has helped us so much, because those people then go out, like I said, and do things that I never necessarily asked for or thought that they would do, and kind of have really been the backbone of why we've been so successful.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So make friends, make good friends.
Because they become a mouthpiece. They become your advertisement, basically. So. Yeah.
I say this thing all the time because guys, that like song that's like no new friends, like me and my squad. I want all the new friends, like everybody. I want to be your friend, and I genuinely do. It's not oh yeah, like I'm nice and I want to be friends with everybody because that's like nice to do. No, I genuinely want to get to know you and I want to be your friend because I don't think that there's a limit on the amount of people that you could build a relationship with. And I don't think that, friendship and stuff like that should be things that are limited. So, definitely all about making friends and meaningful relationships.
I love it. So, what does your average day look like? Like, walk us through your day.
So that was gonna be hard because I don't think any day is the same. We work on so many different things and we have so many different things that we're approached with on a daily basis. I really do not think I've had any day that is the same or follows a specific path. But I will say I'm always consistently keeping up with what's going on. So it always, whether it's, watching TV in the news, whether it's on my phone, whether it's communicating with somebody, calling them, I think it's very, very, or when COVID wasn't happening, dropping by. I do think that a drop by is definitely beneficial, but don't do that now unless you got a mask. Ain't no person.
Right.
But right now. But I think spending my day just figuring out ways to find out more information and to just make sure I'm as aware as possible have been kind of what I do on a daily basis. And that can range so much because like I said, our team's pretty small, so we do it all. So but one thing I do is I have a to-do list. I'm all about lists and making them. I have my intention lists, which are just things that I want to do, whatever day or whatever. And then I have what I need to do, the things I have to do. And that obviously is a very, very long list. But I take, 10 to 15 things out of it. And if I can accomplish those 10 to 15 things, then I had a good day. So that's kind of how I make it through my day, depending on whatever it is.
Yeah. If you're getting through 10 or 15 things a day, you're doing good.
Oh yeah, for sure. And they're not even all, so listen, don't have me up here lying saying like, oh yeah, like I'm creating like 10 websites a day. No. It could simply be washing my car, right? But it's something that I know will make me happy. I know will help me in the long run. And it's something that important that I need to do. So that if that's one of my things, that's one of my things. But I'm very, very intentional, not only about everything I do, but how I spend my time, how I go about doing the things that I do. I want to make sure that whatever I'm doing is, has as positive of an effect on whoever I'm impacting as possible. Yeah.
I love it. Yeah, because that's usually what I need to do, to get through the day. I say between this time and this time, this is what I'm doing. From this time to this time, I'm doing something else. So,
oh yeah, I
love that organization. So, and that kind of rolls over to the next question I have. From a lot of people again, or that are watching this, or they're coming to all different facets of life, all different kinds of businesses. Yeah. What kind of advice would you give a typical business owner or someone who's trying to get into a business? What advice would you give to them? That's the first thing. And then two, I guess, I don't know, answer that question first.
Okay. Advice. So I actually do advise people on their business ideas and their businesses in my free time, which I don't have a lot of, but I do when people reach out to me. But the one thing, and you guys are gonna be like, she's a broken record, but the one thing I will say, if I can give you any advice in your business, is to always, always, always trust your gut and be authentic, because how you portray and present yourself is how people will receive you. And if you are always yourself, then people will always know what to expect, and they'll always rely on you, right? Because I can't tell you how many ventures and things that we've gone in that I maybe never had any experience in before, or maybe was very experienced, but coming into that space, or with that person or whatever, and just being me, has helped me immensely. It really, really has. You do not have to put on a face or pretend like you know everything. That's something that I learned when meeting with people who maybe I thought were more successful than me or anything like that. Coming into it, wanting to learn from them and being honest about what my limitations are and stuff like that it honestly made them more apt to support me and help me, because they knew what they were getting, right? So that's the first piece, I guess, of advice that I would give. And honestly, in my opinion, the most important piece that I would give anybody starting a business or anything, is just authentically be yourself. If you're baking, what do you bake best? Why do you like to bake? Focusing on your why is definitely important.
And I now remember my second question. So as you start a business, a lot of people have their opinions, right? They say, oh, you should have done this, you should have did that. And I know you've experienced that. You've had a lot of people who might have tried to say, oh, well, I think it should be red versus orange. How do you deal with that, those opinions? Do you take everything, you kind of internalize everything and then process it? Or do you already kind of like know exactly what you want and you kind of go for it? How do you do that?
I think for me, I definitely think that opinions, or not even necessarily opinions, just input. I welcome all input, right? So I've never really been too shy of like criticism or positive feedback. Like feedback is my jam because it only helps me be better, right? So I think that for me, I definitely hear everybody out. Now, if maybe it's something that somebody thinks that we should do that isn't in line with our mission, or, whatever, then, I kind of always go back to our main, like, why are we here? What is our purpose? What is our why? If that falls outside of it, then it's probably something that we shouldn't be doing, but maybe there's somebody else that can do it, right? So let me introduce you. So maybe, you know, this isn't a good idea for me, but maybe I can introduce you to this person, and this is good for them. This is something that they could work on or they could do. So for me, it's taking everything in, because even if I can't help you, somebody can, right? And I can connect you to that person. So I'm always welcome for any and all input. And we definitely get a lot of it. We definitely get a lot of it, but it's all welcomed and appreciated, because I am a firm believer that if anybody takes the time to tell you what they think about something, they care about it. So I appreciate them caring.
Love it.
Yeah.
So what's a risk that you've taken in your career or in this business that initially scared you, but now you're really happy you did it, like it paid off tremendously?
Right. So I struggled to answer that question. When I saw it, I was like, I don't know, because I am very risk averse. I do not necessarily take risk. I always put thought and energy into the decisions that I make and the actions that I take, even as much as like how I say something or who I say it to or everything, right? So I'm very risk averse. But I do think that because I always try to do things with the best intentions and think I'm a Cancer, so I don't know if you guys are super into astrology, but we care, we're very emotional, and so we are very intuitive to other people's emotions and things like that. So I always try to take other people into account in whatever I do. So I don't necessarily take a risk when it comes to that. I'm always very like, okay, so if I do this, and this will happen. Now, when it comes to snap judgments and things like that, I have a lot of experience working in events and stuff like that. And last minute stuff does happen, right? So always just trust your gut. Go with what, you know, we got a plan. If you make a plan beforehand, you'll have a rubric to follow when something goes haywire or when something comes out of left field. That's why it was so easy for us to pivot during COVID, because we just went back to, okay, well, what do we do and why do we do it? So we do events, but why do we do events? Okay, well, people need information. Let's do that. Like, just focusing on your why and always going back to that has, I think, helped me not have to take too big of a risk, because people are still getting what they expect, you know? So I hope that answered your question. I know.
It did. Yeah, it doesn't always have to be, you know how people are like, oh, I put $200,000 down on something. Sometimes it's like, you know, it varies from person to person. So I think that was a very authentic answer.
Thank you.
I see you want to circle back to your why. I love that. So
yeah. I mean, I think that's the most, I don't know. I think with anything you do, right? If you don't have a reason that you're doing it, you probably shouldn't be doing it. That should be your indicator that I probably shouldn't be doing this. So I always really, and sometimes I'll have conversations with myself where I'm like, okay, you were in this place. It doesn't matter what I'm doing, but why am I here? All right, then this is what, you know, this is how I'm going to go about this. So why, I think your why is probably the most important thing that you can consider when considering starting a business or anything like that, is, you know, your purpose.
right. Love it.
Y'all keep saying love it. I'm like, yay, Titi, I love
You're
I love it.
So
Thank you.
So, how can our listeners connect with you? What are your social handles? Not only just for the Connect Dallas, but if you want to personally, how can they connect with you?
Like I said, I love new friends. I know some people, like, they'll message the Connect and be like, hey, Taylor, da-da-da. And I'm like, y'all, that's not always me. So if you do want to follow the Connect Dallas, we are on Instagram, Facebook, Meetup, Twitter, GroupMe. And most of the times our username is at the Connect Dallas. It varies a little bit, but you can find all of that information on our Instagram. And then if you want to follow me or get to know me, I'm on all of those things as well. And it's Taylor to Dallas. So like a play on my name, because my name's Taylor. And then to Dallas. Yeah.
And
do you want me to spell it or anything?
Taylor to Dallas.
Yes. No. So on Instagram, I couldn't get the name on Twitter.
Okay.
But on Instagram, it is Taylor TO Dallas.
Okay.
But then on Twitter, it's Taylor 2 Dallas, because couldn't get it. I don't know why I couldn't. I think it was the link was too long.
Yeah.
Which is why on Twitter, the Connect Dallas is actually the Connect DTX, because we couldn't spell out one letter. We couldn't add. So I was just like,
thing sometimes.
No, I want to write a letter to Twitter and be like, so
come on,
2 names now.
The Connect Dallas.
Right. I'm just saying, like, can I get an extra letter? Just an extra letter. Like, that's
gonna buy a vowel. So,
I love it.
So what I've gathered from the meeting, and I really love your energy. You know,
Thank you.
You make me want to start a whole nother company all over again. So I'm like,
you should. You should.
But what I've gathered is you need to define what your why is. You know, because your why is going to help define your company. And that's kind of what I've also gathered from other previous ones, but definitely from you. It's one of those things where you don't want your company to define who you are, you know, because you're going to get a lot of criticism. You're going to get a lot of opinions.
Yeah.
But the fact that you've already created that core, and you created that core without having to hire millions of people, you know, you do it too. You know, I that in itself, I love it and I respect it, and I'm looking forward to seeing you on Time Magazine or something next year. So
we'll see.
When you get that building next year, don't forget about us. So.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely not. No. And I love what you guys do. I remember meeting you at I think it was an event at For the Culture Studios.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. And you guys like, gave me a shirt and stuff, and it was really awesome, and I appreciate it. And that's why when my team was like, hey, they want to like do a podcast, because I don't really do any interviews or podcasts. I'm very, very low key, surprisingly. Like in person, you're gonna get all this energy, but when it comes to like, you know, anything else on the internet, I'm like, no. So yeah, I definitely appreciate you guys allowing me to be on your platform and share kind of what we do. And yeah, I definitely agree with you that whenever you have a business that has anything to do with the community and working with the community, know why you're doing it. Know why you're doing it and be able to communicate that to people. And it doesn't have to be a whole, you know, elevator pitch speech. I hate speeches. Like even for this call, like I didn't prep much because I really think you should just be from the heart. When you're talking about something you love and you talk about what you do, you should be able to communicate that with people without being like, okay, so this is why, you know. So definitely think about why you do stuff and figure out a way to communicate that in a quick way that isn't rehearsed and doesn't seem forced, right? That's authentically you.
Love it.
I love that. Last question, we're about to wrap, but do you ever see the Connect Dallas insert another city? So not the Connect Dallas, but the Connect.
Right. So absolutely. That was something that we actually, that when I first started the Connect Dallas, I immediately started shifting my focus to thinking about that and to thinking of if we can crack how to connect young Black professionals in Dallas, we can do it in any other city. And so I would love eventually to work with the team of people and bring that our vibe and our energy and meaningful, lasting connections to every city in the country, honestly. And even out of the country too. Yes, if y'all know a city, you know, that's in it. Because I think whenever I go to different cities and stuff like that, I think everybody's saying the same thing. Like there's a lack of community and, you know, it's hard to meet people that aren't, you know, looking for something and all of that. So I definitely see the Connect Dallas in every city in some way, shape, or form.
I love that. Well, thank you for joining us.
Thank you guys for having me. I appreciate it.
Thank you, everybody, for watching. Tune into the next episode. Thank you, Taylor. Good night.
Thank you. Bye.
Good one.